When Raymond Duclos stood up during his son's wedding vows at Sacred Heart Cathedral in Savannah, Georgia, the 152 guests assumed he was about to give an impromptu toast. Instead, they witnessed the execution of 28-year-old Marie-Claire Jean-Baptiste, a Haitian immigrant who had spent 3 years building a life with Raymond's son, Philippe. The bullet entered just below her ribcage as she finished saying, "I do." Her ivory gown, handmade by her late grandmother's seamstress in Port-au-Prince, bloomed crimson as she collapsed onto the white marble floor. Philippe caught her before her head struck the ground, his anguished screams echoing off the cathedral's vaulted ceiling as blood poured between his fingers. Raymond didn't run. The Smith & Wesson fell from his hand with a metallic clatter that cut through the chaos of screaming guests and toppling chairs. He stood motionless, staring at the woman who had just become his daughter-in-law for exactly 8 seconds before he killed her. When 2 groomsmen tackled him to the cathedral floor, Raymond offered no resistance. He simply whispered words that made no sense to anyone present. "She destroyed him. She destroyed my boy," and walked away. The paramedics arrived within 6 minutes, their sirens wailing through Savannah's historic district. They worked frantically on Marie-Claire's motionless body, while Philippe refused to let go of her hand, his tailored wedding suit drenched in her blood. Detective Sarah Chen, who had been attending her niece's violin recital 3 blocks away when the call came through, arrived to find a scene of absolute devastation. Wedding guests huddled in shock behind the cathedral's stone columns. The flower girl, barely 5 years old, sat frozen in the center aisle, rose petals scattered around her small white shoes. The string quartet had abandoned their instruments mid-song, and on the altar, surrounded by evidence markers and crime scene tape, lay the shattered remains of what should have been the happiest day of 2 people's lives. Detective Chen's partner, Marcus Williams, pulled the Smith & Wesson into an evidence bag while uniformed officers began separating witnesses for statements. Raymond Duclos sat handcuffed in the back of a patrol car, his weathered face showing no emotion, his eyes fixed on some distant point beyond the cathedral walls. Inside Raymond's jacket pocket, officers found his cell phone. The screen was still illuminated, showing 2 text messages from an unknown number. The first contained a scanned police report from Port-au-Prince dated 5 years earlier. The second message, sent 2 minutes after the first, read, "Now you know what she took from you." Philippe Duclos, 30 years old, and now a widower before the reception could even begin, sat on the cathedral steps as his bride was loaded into the ambulance. He had no idea that the woman he loved had been hiding a secret that connected her to his father's past in the most devastating way possible. He had no idea that his father had another son, one Philippe never knew existed, one whose life had been destroyed by a hit-and-run driver in Haiti's capital city on a humid night in August 2019. And he had no idea that someone had orchestrated this entire nightmare, turning a wedding ceremony into a murder scene with nothing more than a cell phone and the truth. By 5:43 p.m., Marie-Claire Jean-Baptiste was pronounced dead at Savannah Memorial Hospital. The trauma surgeon, Dr. Patricia Morrison, had done everything possible during 51 minutes of surgery, but the internal damage was catastrophic. When Dr. Morrison walked into the waiting room to deliver the news, Philippe's anguished howl of grief could be heard throughout the entire floor. Raymond Duclos was formally charged with murder at 7:15 p.m. During his booking, he spoke only once, telling the processing officer, "I didn't know until today. I didn't know it was her." When asked what he meant, Raymond fell silent and remained that way for the next 14 hours. The investigation that followed would uncover a web of deception spanning 2 countries, 2 families, and 5 years of carefully constructed lies. It would reveal that Marie-Claire Jean-Baptiste had fled Haiti under a name that wasn't quite her own, leaving behind a young man with permanent brain damage and a family drowning in medical bills they could never pay. It would expose Raymond Duclos' abandoned past and the son he had left behind in Port-au-Prince decades earlier. But most chillingly, it would reveal the identity of the person who had orchestrated the entire tragedy. Someone who had waited 5 years for the perfect moment to destroy 3 lives with surgical precision. Someone who had attended the wedding as an invited guest, watched the ceremony unfold, sent those 2 text messages from inside the cathedral, and then vanished without a trace. The wedding that was supposed to unite 2 families instead tore them apart completely. And somewhere, the person responsible was watching the news coverage, satisfied that justice, however twisted, had finally been served. Marie-Claire Jean-Baptiste met Philippe Duclos on a Tuesday evening in September 2021 at a fundraiser for Haitian relief efforts held in a converted warehouse in Savannah's Arts District. She was 25 then, working as a medical translator at St. Joseph's Hospital, helping Creole-speaking patients navigate the American healthcare system. Philippe was 27, managing his family's commercial real estate portfolio, trying to prove himself worthy of the business his father had built from nothing. They talked for hours that night. Marie-Claire spoke about her work with immigrant families, the way language barriers could mean life or death in emergency rooms. Philippe listened intently, impressed by her passion, her intelligence, the way her dark eyes lit up when she described helping a grandmother understand her diabetes diagnosis. By the time the event ended, he had asked for her number. She hesitated for just a moment before saying yes. Their first date was at the Grey, an upscale restaurant in a restored Greyhound bus terminal. Philippe was nervous, talking too quickly about property values and investment strategies. Marie-Claire laughed, touched his hand gently, and told him to breathe. By dessert, he knew she was different from anyone he had ever met. She had this quality, this ability to make people feel seen, heard, valued. Within 8 months, Marie-Claire had moved into Philippe's downtown loft. They fell into an easy rhythm, morning coffee on the balcony overlooking Forsyth Park, evening walks along River Street, Sunday afternoons cooking together, Marie-Claire teaching him to make griot and pickles, while he attempted to master her grandmother's recipe for diri ak jon jon. Philippe introduced her to his business partners, his college friends, his tight circle of Savannah society. Marie-Claire was warm with everyone, charming and gracious, but there was always a certain guardedness underneath. She rarely spoke about Haiti beyond surface details, the beauty of the mountains, the resilience of the people, the music that filled the streets. When pressed about her family, her childhood, the years before she came to America, she would smile softly and change the subject. Philippe noticed, but never pushed. He assumed she carried trauma from Haiti's instability, the earthquakes, the political violence, the poverty. Many immigrants preferred not to revisit painful memories. He respected her privacy, loved her despite the gaps in her story, believed that trust would bring her openness in time. But there was one person Marie-Claire could never charm: Raymond Duclos. Philippe's father was 62 years old, a self-made businessman who had emigrated from France to Haiti in his 20s, then to the United States in his 40s. He had built Duclos' properties through relentless work, shrewd investments, and an almost supernatural ability to read people. Raymond was not warm, not expressive, not the type to welcome strangers easily into his world. The first time Marie-Claire met Raymond was at a Sunday dinner in his Garden District mansion. She arrived with homemade sweet potato pudding, a traditional Haitian dessert. Raymond accepted it with a curt nod, but barely touched it during the meal. Throughout dinner, he watched her with sharp, assessing eyes. When she spoke, he listened in silence. When Philippe told stories about their relationship, Raymond's expression never changed. After dinner, Philippe walked his father to the door. "So?" Philippe asked eagerly. "What do you think?" Raymond looked back toward the dining room where Marie-Claire was helping clear plates. "Where exactly in Haiti is her family from?" "Port-au-Prince. Why?" and they are all deceased. Asim, her parents died when she was young. She was raised by her grandmother, who passed 3 years ago. Dad, what is this about? Raymond buttoned his coat slowly. Nothing. She seems pleasant. Pleasant? That's it? Make certain you truly know her, Philippe, not just the version she presents. Philippe laughed it off, but the comment lingered. Over the next 2 years, as his relationship with Marie-Claire deepened, Raymond remained distant. He attended their engagement party, but left early. He approved Philippe's choice to propose, but never congratulated Marie-Claire directly. At family gatherings, he was polite, but cold, answering her questions with minimal responses, never asking any of his own. Marie-Claire felt it keenly. "Your father hates me," she told Philippe one night. "He doesn't hate you. He's just protective." "No, Philippe, it's more than that. He looks at me like I'm dangerous." She wasn't wrong. Raymond had hired a private investigator 6 months before the wedding. He told himself it was prudence, not paranoia. The investigator came back with clean results. Valid nursing credentials, clean credit. No criminal record in the United States. But there was something odd. A 2-year gap in Haiti, with almost no documentation, no employment records, no digital footprint. Raymond pushed harder, contacted an attorney in Port-au-Prince, asked about sealed court cases involving the name Jean-Baptiste. The attorney found something but couldn't access the details without a formal legal request that would take months. Raymond let it go. He told himself he was being an overprotective father, that Marie-Claire was simply a private person, that Philippe was happy, and that should be enough. But that instinct, the one that had kept him alive in business for 40 years, never stopped whispering that something about Marie-Claire Jean-Baptiste was fundamentally wrong. What Raymond didn't know was that on August 12, 2019, in the Delmas district of Port-au-Prince, a young man named Christophe Duclos had been walking home from his job at a textile factory when a car struck him at high speed and fled the scene. Christophe, 21 years old, suffered catastrophic brain injuries that left him in a permanent vegetative state. The driver was never identified. The case was closed 6 months later after a private settlement. And the woman who destroyed Christophe's life changed her name slightly, moved to the United States, and rebuilt her existence from scratch. That woman was now wearing a wedding dress, standing at an altar, about to marry Raymond's second son, while his first son lay in a care facility in Haiti, unaware of anything at all. The night Christophe Duclos' life ended, the electricity in Delmas 33 had been out for 6 hours. It was a common occurrence in Port-au-Prince, where the national power grid functioned sporadically at best. Residents used generators if they could afford them, candles if they couldn't. The streets were dark, illuminated only by the occasional headlight or the glow from battery-powered lanterns inside homes. Christophe was 21 years old, working the evening shift at a textile factory that supplied clothing to American retailers. He earned $8 a day, which was decent by Haitian standards, enough to help his mother, Nadège Duclos, pay rent on their small concrete house and buy food for his 2 younger sisters. He was saving money too, slowly, hoping someday to attend technical school and learn automotive repair. That evening, August 12, 2019, Christophe left the factory at 10:30 p.m. He walked the same route he always did, down route to Delmas, toward the bus depot, then cutting through residential streets to save time. He had earbuds in, listening to compa music on a phone his cousin had given him. The streets were quiet, most families already inside for the night. Marie-Claire Beauvoir, she still used her birth name then, was driving her cousin's Toyota Corolla, borrowed for the evening to meet friends at a restaurant in Pétionville. She was 24, working as a nursing assistant at Hôpital de l'Université d'État d'Haïti, living with her aunt in a middle-class neighborhood. She had been drinking rum punches at dinner, not enough to be visibly drunk, but enough to blur her judgment, slow her reactions. She was driving too fast for a residential street, distracted by her phone, texting a friend about meeting up later. When Christophe stepped into the crosswalk, no painted lines, no streetlights, just an intersection residents had used for years, Marie-Claire didn't see him until it was too late. The impact threw Christophe 15 feet. His body hit the pavement with a sickening crack, his head striking the curb. Marie-Claire slammed on the brakes, her heart pounding, hands shaking. She looked in the rearview mirror and saw him lying motionless in the street. For 10 seconds, she sat frozen. Then she made a decision that would define the rest of her life. She drove away. A neighbor, Madame Etienne, heard the crash from her front room. She rushed outside, saw Christophe unconscious and bleeding, and screamed for help. Her husband called the ambulance while she knelt beside the boy, praying in Creole, begging him to breathe. The ambulance took 40 minutes to arrive. By then, Christophe's brain had been without adequate oxygen for far too long. At Hôpital Général, doctors stabilized him, but the prognosis was devastating. Severe traumatic brain injury, minimal brain activity, virtually no chance of meaningful recovery. Nadège Duclos arrived at the hospital at 2 a.m., brought by a neighbor. When she saw her son, tubes running from his arms, machines breathing for him, his face swollen beyond recognition, she collapsed. The doctors told her Christophe would likely never wake up, and if he did, he would not be the son she knew. The Haitian National Police opened an investigation immediately. They found fragments of a side mirror at the scene, traced it to a Toyota Corolla, and identified 3 200 registered vehicles matching that description in the Port-au-Prince metro area. Without witnesses, without cameras, without more evidence, the case went nowhere. Then, 3 weeks later, a man named Jacques Beauvoir came forward. He claimed his niece had borrowed his car that night and returned it with front-end damage. He provided her name, Marie-Claire Beauvoir. Police brought her in for questioning. Marie-Claire arrived with an attorney, a well-connected lawyer named Réginald Petit-Homme, whose family had political influence. During the interview, Marie-Claire admitted she had been driving that night, but claimed she hit a pothole, not a person. She said she never saw anyone in the road, never heard an impact. The damage to her cousin's car was from the pothole. The police didn't believe her, but without physical evidence linking her specifically to Christophe's injuries, without witnesses placing her at that intersection, without a confession, prosecution would be difficult. 4 months later, Nadège received a call from attorney Petit-Homme. He represented someone willing to settle the case privately. The offer was $15, owned dollars USD, enough to cover Christophe's care at a private facility for years. In exchange, the driver's identity would remain sealed and Nadège would sign away her right to pursue criminal charges. Nadège was a cleaning woman who earned $150 a month. Christophe's care at the public hospital was inadequate. Understaffed, undersupplied, patients left in hallways for hours. The $15,000 could move him to a private facility with real nurses, real equipment, real hope of basic dignity. She signed. The case was sealed, and Marie-Claire Beauvoir walked free. What Nadège didn't know was that Christophe Duclos was not just any victim. He was the son Raymond Duclos had abandoned 23 years earlier when Raymond left Haiti to pursue opportunities in the United States, leaving behind a common-law wife and an infant son he had never legally claimed. Raymond had sent money sporadically over the years, cash transfers to Nadège's account, never enough, never consistent, always with the understanding that he had built a new life elsewhere. He had not visited Haiti since 2003. He had not spoken to Christophe since the boy was 7 years old. But when Nadège finally tracked Raymond down in 2020 and told him what happened, Raymond felt the weight of 23 years of absence crash down on him. He flew to Port-au-Prince, saw his son in the care facility, vacant eyes, feeding tube, no recognition, no awareness, and something broke inside him. He demanded to know who did this. Nadege told him the case was sealed, the driver's identity protected. Raymond hired investigators. He used connections. He paid bribes. For 4 years he searched, and every door closed in his face, until someone decided to open them all at once. 3 weeks before the wedding, on a humid May afternoon in Port-au-Prince, a legal petition was filed with the Haitian Civil Court requesting the unsealing of case number 2019 HTI 4782, the hit and run involving Christophe Duclos. The petitioner's name was listed as Philippe Duclos, residential address in Savannah, Georgia. The petition claimed new evidence had emerged suggesting witness intimidation and obstruction of justice in the original settlement. The petition was a forgery. Philippe had never filed any such document. He had never even been told about Christophe's existence. The court clerk processed the paperwork routinely, sent notification letters to all parties involved, including Marie-Claire Beauvoir, now using the surname Jean-Baptiste, informing them that a hearing was scheduled for July 18th to determine whether the sealed records should be made public. When Marie-Claire received the certified letter at her Savannah apartment on May 29th, her hands trembled so badly she could barely open the envelope. She read it 3 times, her heart pounding, her mind racing. Philippe knew. Somehow, Philippe had discovered what happened in Port-au-Prince. He knew she was the driver who destroyed Christophe's life. He knew she had lied about everything. But when she looked at Philippe that evening, he showed no signs of anger, no coldness, no distance. He kissed her when he came home from work, asked about her day at the hospital, discussed menu options for the wedding reception. He seemed completely normal. Marie-Claire agonized for days. Should she confront him? Confess everything before he exposed her publicly? But what if he didn't actually know the details? What if the petition was some bureaucratic mistake, a clerical error using the wrong name? If she confessed unprompted, she would destroy everything herself. She decided to wait, to watch for signs that Philippe was pulling away, preparing to call off the wedding. But he did nothing. He remained loving, attentive, excited about their future. So Marie-Claire convinced herself the petition was meaningless, that even if the case was unsealed, Philippe would never connect her to it, that she could survive this crisis the way she had survived everything else. She was wrong. The person who filed that forged petition knew exactly what they were doing. They wanted Marie-Claire to spend 3 weeks in psychological agony, wondering if her secret was about to explode. They wanted her to walk down that aisle carrying the weight of that fear. They wanted her vulnerable, terrified, desperate. But the petition was only the first move in a much larger game. That same week, Raymond Duclos received an anonymous email. No return address, no identifying information, just a subject line that read, "About Christophe." The email contained a single attachment, a photograph of Marie-Claire Jean-Baptiste standing next to a damaged Toyota Corolla. The metadata showed the photo was taken in Port-au-Prince in August 2019, 3 days after Christophe was hit. Raymond stared at the image, his blood running cold. He had seen hundreds of photos of Marie-Claire by now, on Philippe's phone, framed in their apartment, posted on social media. But seeing her in Haiti, next to that car, in that time frame, the implication was unmistakable. He called the investigator he had used years earlier, forwarded the email, demanded answers. The investigator traced the photo's origin to a mechanic shop in Delmas that had repaired the vehicle. With the license plate number now visible in the photo, the investigator cross-referenced vehicle registrations, found the owner, Jacques Beauvoir, and discovered that Jacques' niece, Marie-Claire Beauvoir, had been interviewed by police in connection with Christophe's case. Marie-Claire Beauvoir, Marie-Claire Jean-Baptiste. Different surnames, same woman. Raymond sat alone in his study, gripping the investigation report, feeling rage and betrayal surge through him. The woman who destroyed his first son's life was about to marry his second son. She had hidden this from Philippe, from everyone, had rebuilt her entire existence on a lie. Raymond wanted to confront her immediately, to drag her to Philippe and force her to confess. But something held him back. The anonymous email felt orchestrated, deliberately timed, designed to provoke a reaction. Someone wanted Raymond to know this information. But why? Why now, 3 weeks before the wedding? Why not months ago or years ago, when Philippe first started dating her? Raymond decided to wait. He would attend the wedding, watch Marie-Claire, see if she revealed herself. If she went through with the ceremony without confessing to Philippe, Raymond would expose her afterward, publicly, completely. She would lose everything. But Raymond underestimated the depths of the orchestration working against him. On June 14th, the day before the wedding, a package arrived at Raymond's home. Inside was a prepaid cell phone and a handwritten note. "Turn this on at 4:30 tomorrow. You will receive the proof you need. What you do with it is justice, not murder." Raymond stared at the note for a long time. Every instinct told him this was a trap, a setup, something deeply wrong. But the need to know, the need for certainty, the need to protect Philippe overwhelmed his caution. The next day, as he sat in the front pew of Sacred Heart Cathedral watching Marie-Claire walk down the aisle in her grandmother's dress, Raymond's jacket pocket held 2 phones, his personal cell and the prepaid device. At exactly 4:36 p.m., as Reverend Thomas asked Marie-Claire to repeat her vows, the prepaid phone vibrated. Raymond pulled it out slowly, looked at the screen. A text message from an unknown number, with an attachment, a scanned police report from Port-au-Prince. The header read, "Case number 2019 HTI 4782, vehicular assault. Victim, Christophe Duclos. Driver, Beauvoir, Marie-Claire." Raymond's vision tunneled. His hands began to shake. He read the victim's name again and again. Christophe Duclos. His son. The son he had abandoned. The son he had failed. The son whose life was destroyed by the woman now saying, "I do," 20 feet away. A second message arrived. "She paid $15, $1,000 to make it disappear. Your son lives in hell while she plays bride. Now you know." Something inside Raymond shattered. Years of guilt, years of searching, years of helplessness crystallized into a single moment of absolute clarity. Marie-Claire had taken Christophe from him, from everyone, and walked away as if it meant nothing. And now, she was going to take Philippe too, build a life on lies, escape consequences again. Raymond's hand moved to the Smith & Wesson he had carried for 12 years, ever since an attempted carjacking in Atlanta. He had brought it today out of habit, out of instinct, never imagining he would use it. He stood as Marie-Claire finished her vows. He heard Philippe's confused voice. "Dad?" But it sounded distant, underwater. He saw Marie-Claire turn toward him, saw recognition flash in her eyes, saw fear. And Raymond pulled the trigger. What Raymond didn't know, what he would never know until Detective Chen showed him the evidence weeks later, was that the person who sent those messages was sitting in the cathedral when they were sent. The cell tower data would prove it. The meticulous planning would reveal it. The motive would eventually become clear. But by then, 3 lives would already be destroyed, and the architect of this vengeance would be gone, disappeared into a carefully planned escape route, leaving behind nothing but questions and devastation. Detective Sarah Chen had worked homicide for 11 years, but the Sacred Heart Cathedral shooting violated every pattern she knew. Murders at weddings were vanishingly rare. When they did occur, they typically involved jealous ex-partners or feuding families, crimes of sudden passion fueled by alcohol and old grudges. But Raymond Duclos was stone-cold sober, had no history of violence, and by all accounts had been a devoted, if distant, father to Philippe. The shooting made no sense until Chen read the text messages on the prepaid phone. She sat in the Savannah Police Department's tech lab at 11 p.m. on the night of the murder, watching the digital forensics team extract data from Raymond's phones. When the messages appeared on screen, the police report, the damning revelation about Christophe, the case suddenly crystallized into something far more complex than a wedding day tragedy. "Pull everything," Chen told the tech. "Call logs, GPS data, cell tower pings. I want to know where this burner phone has been since it was activated." The results came back within 2 hours. The prepaid device had been purchased with cash at a convenience store in Savannah's South Side on June 10th. The store's security footage showed a person in a baseball cap and sunglasses, face obscured, paying in 20s and leaving immediately. No useful identification. The phone was activated on June 14th at 6:47 p.m., approximately 24 hours before the shooting. It connected to a cell tower near Forsyth Park, then remained stationary until June 15th at 3:15 p.m., when it began moving towards Sacred Heart Cathedral. The phone was inside the cathedral when the messages were sent, the text said, highlighting the tower data. Whoever texted Raymond Duclos was at the wedding. Chen felt her pulse quicken. This wasn't someone watching from afar. This was an invited guest, someone who had stood among the 152 witnesses, watched the ceremony unfold, sent those messages at the precise moment calculated to cause maximum devastation, and then presumably disappeared in the chaos. "Get me the guest list," Chen told her partner, Detective Marcus Williams. "Every single person who was inside that cathedral. I want backgrounds, phone records, financial data, connections to Haiti, connections to the victim, connections to Raymond Duclos. Someone orchestrated this, and they're not getting away with it." By dawn on June 16th, Chen's team had interviewed 43 witnesses who remained at the scene. Most were in shock, traumatized, barely able to provide coherent statements. But a pattern began to emerge in their descriptions of the moments before the shooting. "Raymond looked strange all day," said one of Philippe's college friends, a groomsman named Tyler Morrison. "I mean, he's always kind of intense, but at the ceremony he was just rigid, staring straight ahead. Then his phone buzzed and his whole face changed, like someone had punched him in the gut." A bridesmaid named Vanessa Laurent, one of Marie-Claire's co-workers from St. Joseph's Hospital, noticed something else. "Marie-Claire seemed terrified during the ceremony. I thought it was just nerves, but looking back, she kept glancing at the doors like she wanted to run, and she never once looked at Raymond. Not once." Chen pulled Marie-Claire's phone records next. In the 3 weeks before the wedding, Marie-Claire had made dozens of calls to unknown numbers in Port-au-Prince, attorneys, court clerks, trying to understand the petition that claimed to be from Philippe. She had also searched online extensively. Concealed court records be unsealed, statute of limitations Haiti vehicular assault, extradition from USA to Haiti. Marie-Claire had known something was coming. She had been living in fear, waiting for the explosion, but she had chosen to go through with the wedding anyway, hoping somehow to outrun her past one more time. The guest list revealed 152 names. Chen's team began the tedious process of cross-referencing each one against the Haitian connection. Most guests were Philippe's business associates, Marie-Claire's hospital colleagues, members of Savannah's Haitian community, who knew Marie-Claire through church or cultural events. None had obvious motives for destroying the wedding. Then Detective Williams found an anomaly. "One of the groomsmen doesn't quite fit," Williams said, dropping a file on Chen's desk. "Andre Beauvoir, listed as Marie-Claire's cousin from Miami. But here's the thing. There's no Andre Beauvoir matching this description in Miami. The address on the RSVP is a UPS store. The phone number goes to a disconnected line." Chen opened the file. The wedding photographer had captured Andre in several shots. Late 20s, medium build, dark hair, standing among the groomsmen in a rented tuxedo. His face was partially obscured in most photos, angled away from the camera, as if deliberately avoiding clear identification. "Who invited him?" Chen asked. "Marie-Claire, supposedly. But when we asked Philippe about the guest list, he said Marie-Claire handled invitations for her side of the family. He never actually met Andre. The guy apparently flew in the morning of the wedding, went straight to the cathedral, and no one's seen him since." Chen felt the case shifting beneath her. "Pull security footage from the cathedral. I want every angle, every entrance, every exit. Find out where Andre Beauvoir went after the shooting." The footage told a disturbing story. Andre arrived at Sacred Heart at 3:47 p.m., 40 minutes before the ceremony. He stood in the vestibule, checking his phone repeatedly. At 4:36 p.m., exactly when the first message was sent to Raymond, cameras showed Andre in the north transept, phone in hand, typing. At 4:38 p.m., seconds after the shooting, Andre moved calmly toward a side exit, while everyone else ran toward the altar or scrambled for the main doors. Outside cameras captured him removing his tuxedo jacket, revealing a plain black t-shirt underneath. He walked 2 blocks east, entered a parking garage, and disappeared. The garage had no exit cameras. Andre Beauvoir had vanished. Chen ran the name through every database available. No hits. She ran facial recognition on the clearest photo from the wedding. No matches. She checked flight manifests, car rentals, hotel registrations. Nothing. "He doesn't exist," Williams said. "Andre Beauvoir is a ghost." But Chen knew ghosts didn't buy prepaid phones, forge legal documents, or execute elaborate revenge plots. Whoever Andre Beauvoir really was, he had a deep personal connection to this case, and Chen was going to find him. She went back to the beginning, to Port-au-Prince, to the hit and run that started everything. She contacted the Haitian National Police, requested the full case file on Christophe Duclos. What arrived 3 days later made her blood run cold. The original witness who identified Marie-Claire's vehicle was her uncle, Jacques Beauvoir. Jacques had a son, listed in family records as Jacques Jr., nicknamed Andre. Jacques Jr. was 24 in 2019, working as a paralegal for the same attorney who represented Marie-Claire in the settlement negotiations. Chen pulled everything she could find on Jacques Beauvoir Jr. He had disappeared from Haitian records in late 2019, right after the settlement was finalized. No employment, no tax records, no digital presence. He had effectively erased himself. He gave up his cousin to the police, Williams said, reading over Chen's shoulder. Then helped her attorney negotiate the settlement, then vanished. Why? Chen stared at the timeline, pieces clicking into place. He gave up Marie-Claire because he was angry she nearly killed someone and drove away. But then the attorney convinced the family to settle, convinced them to take money and seal the case. Jacques Jr. watched her buy her way out of consequences. He watched her change her name and flee to America, and he's been hunting her ever since. Williams frowned. But why wait 5 years? Why not expose her immediately? Because exposure wasn't enough, Chen said quietly. He didn't just want her caught. He wanted her destroyed. He wanted Raymond to pull that trigger. He wanted Philippe to lose everything. He orchestrated the perfect revenge, then disappeared. Chen requested extradition cooperation from Haitian authorities, issued an international warrant for Jacques Beauvoir Jr. under all known aliases. But she knew, deep in her gut, that they would never find him. Someone who planned this meticulously had planned his escape just as carefully. 2 days later, a package arrived at the Savannah Police Department addressed to Detective Chen. Inside was a single piece of paper with handwritten words in French. Justice delayed is justice denied. Christophe will never have his life back. Now neither will they. The handwriting analysis confirmed it matched Jacques Beauvoir Jr.'s signature on employment documents from 2019. But the package had been mailed from Mexico City, dropped in a public mailbox, untraceable. Chen sat in her office, reading the note again and again, feeling the weight of failure. She had solved the case, understood every piece of the puzzle, but the person responsible was gone, swallowed by the world, leaving behind 3 shattered lives and a cathedral stained with blood. Raymond Duclos' trial began on October 3, 2024, in a Savannah courtroom packed with journalists, legal observers, and members of both families. The prosecution presented overwhelming evidence: the weapon registered in Raymond's name, 152 eyewitnesses, the confession he gave during booking. The case should have been straightforward. But Raymond's defense attorney, Margaret Ashford, argued something more complex. She presented the text messages, the forged petition, the years Raymond spent searching for his son's attacker, the deliberate manipulation by an unknown third party who had weaponized Raymond's grief. Ashford argued that Raymond had been in a state of extreme emotional disturbance, that discovering Marie-Claire's identity at that precise moment had temporarily destroyed his capacity for rational judgment. "My client did not plan this murder," Ashford told the jury. "Someone else planned it. Someone sent those messages knowing exactly what Raymond Duclos would do. They turned a grieving father into a weapon, pointed him at their target, and pulled the trigger. Raymond is guilty of pulling the physical trigger, yes. But the moral culpability belongs to the person who orchestrated this entire tragedy." The prosecution countered that regardless of manipulation, Raymond made a choice. He chose to bring a loaded weapon to his son's wedding. He chose to stand up. He chose to fire. Intent could be influenced by emotion, but action required personal agency. Raymond Duclos killed Marie-Claire Jean-Baptiste, and the law demanded accountability. The jury deliberated for 9 hours. When they returned, the verdict was unambiguous: guilty of murder in the 2nd degree. The judge sentenced Raymond to 28 years to life in prison. At 62 years old, Raymond would likely die behind bars. Philippe sat in the courtroom throughout the trial, watching his father testify, listening to the full truth about Christophe, about Marie-Claire, about the web of lies that had defined his relationship. When the verdict was read, Philippe showed no reaction. He simply stood, walked out of the courtroom, and drove to the airport. He flew to Port-au-Prince the next day. It was his first time in Haiti, the country his father had abandoned, the country Marie-Claire had fled. A taxi took him from the airport to a modest care facility in Delmas, where Christophe Duclos had lived for 5 years. Nadège Duclos met him in the lobby. She was 54, worn down by years of caretaking, by grief that never ended. When Philippe introduced himself, she began to cry. "You look like him," she whispered. "You look like your father when he was young." She led Philippe to Christophe's room. Philippe's half-brother lay in a hospital bed, eyes open but unseeing, breathing assisted by a ventilator, fed through a tube. At 26 years old, Christophe existed in a permanent twilight, aware of nothing, responsive to no one. Philippe sat beside the bed for 20 minutes, looking at the brother he never knew existed, the victim his wife had created, the reason his entire life had imploded. He wanted to feel something, anger, sorrow, connection, but there was only emptiness. "I'm sorry," Philippe finally said, unsure if he was apologizing to Christophe, to Nadège, to himself. "I'm so sorry for all of this." Nadège touched his shoulder gently. "This is not your fault. You were used, just like Raymond was used. Jacques destroyed all of you." Philippe looked up sharply. "You know who did this?" "Jacques Beauvoir Jr. He worked for the lawyer who represented Marie-Claire. He called me 2 weeks after the settlement, told me his cousin had paid her way out of justice, that someday he would make sure she paid properly." Nadège's voice hardened. "I told him to let it go. that revenge would not bring Christophe back. He said justice and revenge were the same thing when the courts failed. Philippe left Haiti the next day and never returned. Back in Savannah, he sold the loft where he and Marie-Claire had lived, sold his share of Duclos properties to his business partners, and moved to Charleston, South Carolina, where no one knew his story. He stopped answering calls from former friends, deleted all social media, built a life of deliberate isolation. Detective Chen continued searching for Jacques Beauvoir Jr., now the subject of an international manhunt. Interpol issued a red notice. The FBI added him to their wanted list. But 18 months after the shooting, there had been no credible sightings, no financial transactions, no digital footprints. In March 2026, a tourist in Guatemala City reported seeing someone matching Jacques' description working at a medical clinic in a rural village. By the time authorities investigated, the clinic had closed and the staff had dispersed. The trail went cold again. Chen knew with resignation born of experience that Jacques would never be found. He had planned this for years, studying his targets, timing every move perfectly, preparing an escape route that left no trace. He had achieved what he set out to do, destroyed Marie-Claire, ruined Raymond, shattered Philippe, and he had done it while remaining untouchable. Raymond sits in Coastal State Prison, 50 miles outside Savannah. He spends his days in the library, reading books about Haiti, learning Creole, trying belatedly to understand the country and the son he abandoned. He writes letters to Nadege, sending money from his prison account to help with Christophe's care. She never responds, but she cashes the checks. Philippe lives alone in a Charleston apartment overlooking the harbor. He works remotely as a financial consultant, interacting with clients only through email. On the anniversary of the wedding, he allows himself one drink, Haitian rum, Marie-Claire's favorite, and sits on his balcony thinking about the life he almost had, the woman he thought he knew, the father who destroyed everything trying to protect him. Christophe remains in the care facility in Port-au-Prince, maintained by the settlement money Marie-Claire paid 5 years ago. Nadege visits every day, reads to him from the Bible, holds his hand, tells him stories about his childhood. He gives no indication he hears her, but she continues anyway. Because what else can a mother do? And somewhere in the world, Jacques Beauvoir Jr. watches news coverage of the case, reads updates about the search for him, and feels satisfied that justice, in his own twisted definition, has been served. He gave up everything, his name, his country, his family, his future, to ensure that the woman who destroyed Christophe's life lost everything too. 3 lives destroyed, 1 dead, 1 imprisoned, 1 exiled, all because a young woman made a terrible choice on a dark street in Port-au-Prince and believed she could buy her way out of consequences. The lesson is not that justice prevails. It doesn't. The lesson is that secrets metastasize, that lies compound, that the past never stays buried. Marie-Claire thought she could outrun what she did. Raymond thought he could abandon one son and protect another. Philippe thought love was built on trust that didn't require verification. All of them learned the same truth. Some debts can never be paid, some wounds never heal, and revenge, no matter how justified it feels, only creates more victims. The person who caused the most damage wasn't the one who pulled the trigger. It was the one who made absolutely certain the trigger would be pulled. And he's still out there, free, untouchable, carrying the weight of what he orchestrated. Whether that weight feels like justice or damnation, only Jacques knows, and he's not telling.